7 black SUVs pulled up to the Ritz-Carlton, Atlanta, one after another, like a funeral procession for someone very rich. Adaora pressed her nose to the ballroom window. Her heart was pounding. Her palms were sweating straight through the designer gloves she had rented for $47. "That's him," someone whispered behind her. "That's the founder." The crowd in the ballroom shifted. 300 of Atlanta's wealthiest people, doctors, lawyers, real estate moguls, tech founders, all turned toward the entrance like flowers toward the sun. Adaora turned with them. She smoothed down the front of her emerald gown, the one she had put on 3 credit cards. She touched her hair, the 30-inch Brazilian frontal that cost more than her car payment. She checked her reflection one more time in the window glass. Perfect. She looked perfect. Tonight was the night everything would change. She could feel it. "Who is he?" she asked the woman beside her. "The founder?" The woman, a judge's wife dripping in real diamonds, raised an eyebrow. "You don't know?" "I mean," Adaora laughed nervously, "I know of him. I just mean, what's he like?" "Nobody knows what he looks like," the judge's wife said. "He keeps his face out of the press. Very private, very mysterious." She leaned closer. "Very single." Adaora's heart did a backflip. Single, billionaire, private. And she was standing in his ballroom, wearing his invitation around her wrist like a golden ticket to a new life. Well, not her invitation exactly, but that was a small detail. The ballroom doors swung open. A man in a perfectly tailored navy suit walked through. He was tall, broad shoulders, skin like polished mahogany. He walked the way rich men walked, like the floor was lucky to hold him. The room erupted in applause. Adaora clapped so hard her rented gloves split at the seams. The man raised one hand. The applause stopped. "Good evening," he said. His voice was deep, warm, the kind of voice that could talk you into anything. "Thank you all for supporting the Atlanta Hope Foundation. But before we begin tonight's program," he paused. His eyes swept the room. Adaora held her breath. "I have a very special announcement. Tonight, I came here for one reason, one person." Every woman in the room stood up straighter. "I came here," he smiled, a smile that could melt glaciers, "to find my Chiamaka." Adaora's blood turned to ice water. Chiamaka. That was her sister's name. That was the name on the stolen invitation. 2 weeks earlier, none of this had happened yet, and if Adaora had left that golden envelope alone, if she had listened to the voice in her head that said, "This is not yours," she would not be standing in this ballroom right now, watching her entire lie unravel in front of 300 people. But Adaora did not listen to that voice. She never did.
There are 2 types of sisters in this world. The first type holds your hand when you fall. The second type trips you and films it for Instagram. Adaora was the second type. She was 31 years old, lived in a 1-bedroom apartment in College Park, worked part-time at a beauty supply store on Campbellton Road, and spent more money on her appearance than most people spent on rent. Her Instagram bio said CEO and entrepreneur. She was not a CEO. She had no company. The only thing she had ever managed was a failed hair extension business that lasted 6 weeks before her suppliers stopped answering her calls. But nobody on Instagram needed to know that. To her followers, all 847 of them, including 300 bots she had purchased for $19, Adaora was living the dream. Private jet photos, taken at an aviation museum, designer bags, rented by the week, restaurant meals, ordered, photographed, then returned claiming stomach issues. "It's called manifesting," she would tell anyone who listened. "You have to look rich before you can be rich." Her sister, Chiamaka, had a different philosophy. Chiamaka was 28, a registered nurse at Grady Memorial Hospital. She worked 12-hour shifts in the emergency room, wiping blood off her scrubs and holding hands with dying patients. She drove a 2015 Honda Accord. She wore her natural hair in simple twists. She owned exactly 3 purses, all from Target. And according to Adaora, this made Chiamaka a complete failure. "You're wasting your life," Adaora told her every Sunday at their mother's house. "You have the same face as me, the same body. You could be getting rich men to take care of you. Instead, you're cleaning up vomit for $12 an hour?" "It's $32 an hour," she said quietly. "Same thing, you're settling." Their mother, Eugenia, always agreed with Adaora. She would pat Chiamaka's hand and sigh. "Your sister is right. You need to think about your future. A nurse salary won't buy you a house in Buckhead." Chiamaka never argued. She just smiled, cleared the dinner plates, and drove her Honda back to her small but peaceful apartment near the hospital. She had a secret that none of them knew about. His name was Obiora Nuachaku. They had met 18 months ago. Chiamaka was volunteering at a free clinic in southwest Atlanta, the kind of place where people came when they had nowhere else to go. No insurance, no money, just hope. It was a Saturday. The clinic was packed. Chiamaka was checking a little boy's blood pressure when a man walked through the door. He was carrying boxes, medical supplies, bandages, syringes, medication samples, thousands of dollars worth of equipment. "Where should I put these?" he asked. Chiamaka looked up. The man was tall, dressed simply, jeans, plain gray t-shirt, work boots. Nothing flashy, nothing expensive. Back room," she said. "Let me show you." She walked him to the storage area. He stacked the boxes carefully, refusing help. "You work for the medical supply company?" she asked. He smiled. "Something like that." "Well, thank them for us. We've been running low on everything. I'll pass that along." He came back the next Saturday, and the next, always with more supplies, always in his jeans and t-shirt, always refusing to take credit. By the 4th week, Chiamaka knew his name. By the 6th week, they were having lunch together after her shifts. By the 10th week, she had fallen completely, hopelessly, irrevocably in love. His name was Obiora Nuachaku. He told her he worked in logistics for a medical supply company. He traveled a lot, back and forth to Nigeria, to London, to Dubai. But whenever he was in Atlanta, he found his way back to her. "Why me?" she asked him once. "You could be with anyone." "That's exactly why. Because you don't care about any of that. You see me, just me." Chiamaka thought she knew everything about him. She had no idea that she knew almost nothing. 2 weeks before the gala, Chiamaka came home from a double shift to find something strange in her mailbox. A golden envelope. Not gold-colored, actual gold. The kind of heavy, textured paper that cost more than most people's electric bills. Her name was written on the front in elegant calligraphy. Chiamaka Okonkwo. No return address. She carried it inside like it might explode. Sitting on her couch, the same couch she had bought secondhand from Facebook Marketplace, she carefully opened the envelope. Inside was a single card, thick, cream-colored, embossed with a logo she didn't recognize. "You are cordially invited," it read. The Atlanta Hope Foundation. Annual Gala. Ritz-Carlton, Atlanta. December 14th, 8 p.m. This invitation is non-transferable. VIP access confirmed. At the bottom, in smaller text, "This invitation has a value of $10,000. Your attendance has been specially requested." Chiamaka read it 3 times. Then she called Obiora. "I got something weird in the mail," she said. "Oh?" His voice was warm, innocent, too innocent. "An invitation to some fancy gala at the Ritz." "Interesting. Obiora, did you do this?" Silence. "I might have made a suggestion to some people." "A $10,000 suggestion?" He laughed, that deep, rolling laugh that made her stomach flutter. "Chiamaka, just go. Wear something nice. Have fun. I'll be in town that weekend anyway. We can celebrate after. Celebrate what? Life, love, the fact that you exist. She couldn't argue with that. The problem was, Chiamaka made one mistake. She told her mother. That Sunday at dinner, she mentioned the invitation casually, just making conversation, just filling the silence. Some charity thing, downtown. I probably won't go. Her mother's eyes went wide. Adara's eyes went wider. The Atlanta Hope Foundation? The Atlanta Hope Foundation? I guess so. Do you have any idea what that is? Some charity. It's not some charity. Adara grabbed her phone, pulled up an article, shoved it in her face. It's the most exclusive event in Atlanta. The waiting list is 5 years long. They only invite 500 people. Billionaires, CEOs, athletes, celebrities. And they invited you? Chiamaka shrugged. I guess someone made a mistake. Obviously, Adara said. Sat back, crossing her arms. There's no way they invited you on purpose. A nurse? From Grady? Please. Maybe they like nurses. Nobody invites nurses to $10,000 galas, Chiamaka. Their mother nodded. She has a point. This must be some kind of error. You should call them. Tell them they sent it to the wrong address. But my name is on. It's clearly a mistake. Their mother stood up and started clearing plates. These things happen. Rich people make mistakes all the time. Chiamaka didn't argue. She just tucked the invitation back into its golden envelope and drove home. But she didn't call anyone. She was going to that gala. Adara couldn't sleep that night. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, her mind spinning like a washing machine on the rinse cycle. The Atlanta Hope Foundation. She had been trying to get into that gala for 3 years. She had applied online. She had DM'd the foundation's Instagram account. She had even tried to date a man who said he knew someone who knew someone on the board. Nothing worked. And now her little sister, her boring, plain, Target purse-carrying sister, had a VIP invitation just fall into her lap? It wasn't fair. It wasn't right. It wasn't going to stand. Adara picked up her phone and started planning. The invitation was kept in Chiamaka's bedside drawer. Adara knew this because she had watched her sister put it there after dinner. While Chiamaka was in the bathroom, Adara had peeked. A quick look, an innocent glance, just gathering information. 3 days before the gala, Adara put her plan into action. Chiamaka, she called her sister on a Thursday afternoon, I need your help. With what? I'm locked out of my apartment. My landlord isn't answering. Can I stay at your place tonight? Just one night. Chiamaka hesitated. Adara never asked for help, never needed anything from her. Please, Adara added. Her voice cracked perfectly. Just enough desperation, just enough sisterly plea. Fine, I have a shift tonight anyway. You can use my spare key. You're the best sister ever. The words tasted like battery acid in her mouth, but she said them anyway. Adara waited until Chiamaka left for work at 6 p.m. Then she went straight to the bedroom. The drawer opened with a soft whisper, and there it was, the golden envelope, gleaming under the lamplight like a promise. She held it up, turned it over, ran her fingers along the embossed edges. This should have been mine, she whispered. She told herself it wasn't really stealing. Chiamaka wasn't even going to use it properly. She would probably show up in some boring dress from Ross. She would stand in a corner being awkward. She would waste the opportunity of a lifetime. But Adara? Adara would work that room. She would network. She would charm. She would find herself a rich husband and never look back. Really, she was doing Chiamaka a favor. The universe clearly wanted her to have this invitation. It had just delivered it to the wrong address. She slipped the envelope into her purse. Then she left a sticky note on the fridge. Landlord fixed it. Had to run. Thanks, sis. XOXO. The next 3 days were a blur of preparation. Adara maxed out her emergency credit card on a gown. Emerald green, backless, the kind of dress that said, I belong here, even if your bank account screamed otherwise.
She rented gloves, she rented jewelry, she got her nails done, 27 rhinestones per finger, so many that she couldn't properly close her hands. She practiced her walk, her smile, her laugh, a delicate tinkling sound that she'd copied from a reality TV star. Most importantly, she practiced her story. I'm Chiamaka. Yes, the Chiamaka, the one they invited personally. Oh, what do? I'm in philanthropy. Giving back, you know? It's so important. She said it to herself in the mirror 50 times. She was ready. On the afternoon of the gala, Chiamaka finally noticed. She came home from her shift exhausted. She wanted to take a bath, pick out a dress, and figure out what to do with her hair. She opened the bedside drawer. Empty. She checked under the bed, in the closet, behind the dresser. Nothing. The golden envelope, her ticket to the most exciting night of her life, was gone. Her first instinct was to call Obiora, but he was flying in from Dubai. His phone was probably off. Her second instinct was to call the foundation directly, but when she looked them up, there was no number listed, just a website with a contact form that promised a response within 5 to 7 business days. The gala was in 4 hours. Her third instinct, the one she didn't want to believe, was to call her sister. Hello? Adara answered on the 5th ring. Her voice sounded strange, echoing, like she was in a large room. Adara, I need to ask you something. Make it quick, I'm busy. When you were at my apartment, did you see a golden envelope in my bedroom? Silence. Adara, a golden envelope? No, why would I be going through your bedroom? I didn't say you were going through. I don't have time for this, Chiamaka. I have to go. The line went dead. Chiamaka stared at her phone. Her sister had just lied to her face. And somewhere across the city, Adara was already climbing into an Uber Black, heading toward the Ritz-Carlton Atlanta, wearing Chiamaka's invitation around her waist like a trophy. Adora had never felt more alive. The Ritz-Carlton ballroom was everything she had ever dreamed of. Crystal chandeliers that probably cost more than her entire apartment building. Gold-rimmed glasses. Waiters gliding by with champagne on silver trays. And the people. Oh, the people. She recognized faces from magazine covers, from Forbes lists, from the Atlanta's Most Eligible features she read late at night while eating ramen. These were her people. She just hadn't met them yet. She grabbed a glass of champagne, her third, and started working the room. Hello, I'm Chiamaka. Yes, lovely to meet you. What do I do? Oh, I'm in philanthropy. The lies came easily now, like breathing. She told a tech CEO that she ran a nonprofit for underprivileged children. She told a real estate developer that she was between projects after selling her last company. She told a retired NBA player that she had done some modeling. Nothing serious, just editorial. Nobody questioned her. Why would they? She had the golden invitation. She had the dress. She had the confidence of a woman who belonged. At 9:15 p.m., the lights dimmed. A hush fell over the room. Ladies and gentlemen, a voice boomed through the speakers. Please welcome the founder of the Atlanta Hope Foundation, Mr. Obiora Nwachukwu. The ballroom doors swung open, and that was when the convoy arrived. Adora had imagined this moment 100 times. The mysterious billionaire would walk in. Their eyes would meet across the crowded room. He would see her dress, her diamonds, her carefully practiced smile. He would be captivated, drawn to her like a moth to a very expensive flame. By midnight, they would be dancing. By next month, they would be dating. By next year, she would never work another day in her life. But as Obiora Nwachukwu walked into the ballroom, tall, confident, dressed in that navy suit that fit him like it was painted on, something strange happened. He didn't scan the room for beautiful women. He didn't smile at the crowd or wave at his admirers. He walked straight to the microphone. And his first words were, Where is Chiamaka? Adora's champagne glass trembled in her hand. I came here tonight for one reason, Obiora said. His voice was warm but serious. One person, a woman who showed me that kindness doesn't need a spotlight, a woman who gives everything she has to people who can never pay her back. Adora's heart was pounding now. This was her moment. This was... Chiamaka Okonkwo, please come forward. She froze. Should she go? She was Chiamaka tonight. That was the whole point. But something about the way he said the name, so familiar, so intimate, made her hesitate. The crowd was looking around, murmuring, waiting. Adora took a deep breath. Then she stepped forward. I'm Chiamaka.
Obiora turned toward her. For one beautiful second, Adaora thought it was working. He was looking at her, seeing her, the dress, the diamonds, the carefully painted smile. Then his face changed. It was subtle, a flicker, a hardening around the eyes, like a door slamming shut behind a pleasant expression. You're Chiamaka? He said. Yes. Her voice came out higher than intended. I'm Chiamaka. Chiamaka Okonkwo, the nurse from Grady Memorial. Adaora's stomach dropped. How did he know that? The invitation didn't say anything about the woman who volunteers at the Southwest Free Clinic every Saturday. Every eye in the room was on her now, 300 people waiting for her response. Yes, that's me. Obiora nodded slowly. Then he reached into his jacket pocket. He pulled out a photograph. This is Chiamaka, he said, holding up the picture. Even from across the room, Adaora could see it clearly. It was her sister, her real sister, standing in scrubs outside Grady Memorial, laughing at something off camera, looking beautiful and simple and genuine, looking nothing like the woman in the emerald gown with 27 rhinestones per nail. I don't know who you are, but you are not her. The murmurs started immediately, then the whispers, then the open stares of horror. She's a fraud. She stole the invitation. Who is she? Adaora felt the room closing in. The champagne was curdling in her stomach. The rented jewelry was suddenly too heavy, dragging her down. I can explain. It's not what you think. Then explain, Obiora said. His voice was ice. I'm her sister. Chiamaka is my sister. She asked me to come in her place. She couldn't make it. She had a shift. She's lying, a voice rang out from the back of the room. Everyone turned, and there, standing in the ballroom doorway, wearing hospital scrubs and sneakers, her natural twists pulled back in a simple headband, was Chiamaka, the real Chiamaka. Her eyes found Adaora across the room, and in that look, Adaora saw everything. The betrayal, the hurt, the years of cruelty that had led to this moment. That woman, Chiamaka said quietly, stole my invitation from my home. She is not here in my place. She is here because she took my place. The room erupted. 300 people watched as Adaora's entire performance collapsed. Her lies peeled away like cheap nail polish. Her stories crumbled. Her confidence shattered into a million glittering pieces on the ballroom floor. The tech CEO she had charmed earlier, the one she told about her nonprofit, stepped forward with his phone out. I just Googled her name, he announced. She works at a beauty supply store in College Park, part-time. Someone laughed, then someone else. Then the whole room was buzzing with cruel, delighted whispers. She said she was a philanthropist. She told me she sold a company. I heard her say she did modeling. Every lie came back, every fake story, every carefully rehearsed deception now exposed under the crystal chandeliers like evidence at a trial.
Ada Ora's rented gloves were soaked with sweat. Her 30-inch Brazilian frontal was sliding backward on her forehead, revealing the stocking cap beneath. The 3 credit card dress suddenly felt like a costume, cheap and obvious. I didn't, she stammered. But what could she say? There was no lie big enough to fix this. Obiora walked toward her. Not fast, not slow, just inevitable. You stole from your own sister to get into a room full of rich people, to pretend to be something you're not. He stopped 3 feet away. Do you know why I created the Atlanta Hope Foundation? Ada Ora shook her head. Because I grew up with nothing. Nothing. And the people who had everything, they would have done anything to keep me out. They would have lied, cheated, stolen. He looked at her with something worse than anger. He looked at her with pity. You are exactly the kind of person I built this foundation to fight against. The kind of person who believes that appearance matters more than truth, that taking shortcuts is the same as earning success. Ada Ora's eyes filled with tears. Please, I'm sorry. I'll go. I'll leave. You'll do more than that. He nodded to security. 2 men in black suits appeared at her sides. Please escort this woman out. Make sure to document her photograph for our files. She will never be welcome at any event associated with my name. The guards each took an arm. Ada Ora looked around wildly, searching for an ally, a sympathetic face, anyone who might take her side. She found no one. As she was led toward the door, she passed her sister. Chiamaka stood still, silent, her face unreadable. Chiamaka, please, Ada Ora started, but her sister just shook her head. You could have just asked. I would have let you come as my +1. All you had to do was ask. The words hit harder than any insult. She was still processing them when she was pushed through the ballroom doors and into the hotel lobby. The rest of the night was a blur of humiliation. Security walked her through the lobby, past the fountain, past the valet station, past the confused faces of arriving guests who didn't know what had happened but could tell it was bad. Her Uber Black had long since left. She had no way home. She stood on the sidewalk outside the Ritz-Carlton Atlanta, in her emerald gown and rented jewelry and sliding wig, with nothing but her dead phone and her shame. A hotel staff member approached her. Ma'am, you can't stand here. I'm waiting for my ride. Ma'am, you need to leave the property. So she walked, in heels that cost $200 to rent, down Peachtree Street in the December cold, with her 2 long nails making it impossible to even zip up her jacket. She walked for 37 minutes before she found a gas station with a working phone. She called her mother. Ada Ora, where are you? I've been watching Instagram. There are photos of you being escorted out of... Mama, I need help. Can you come get me? Silence on the other end. Please, Mama. Her mother sighed. The same sigh she used when Chiamaka failed to meet her standards, but this time it was aimed at her golden child. I'm coming. Stay where you are.
Back in the ballroom, everything had changed. The whispers had stopped. The crowd had settled. Every eye was now fixed on the 2 people in the center of the room. Chiamaka in her scrubs, Obiora in his suit. They stood 3 feet apart, the photograph of her still in his hand. I was supposed to do this differently, Obiora said. I had a whole speech planned. Music, champagne, the perfect moment. He laughed quietly. But I think this moment is better, because now everyone here knows exactly who you are. Not the dress you wear, not the bag you carry, but who you are, what you do, how you treat people. He reached into his pocket again. This time, he pulled out a small velvet box. Chiamaka's hands flew to her mouth. I met you in a free clinic, he said. You were checking a little boy's blood pressure. You had blood on your scrubs and bags under your eyes. And I thought, she is the most beautiful woman I have ever seen. He opened the box. Inside was a ring. A diamond, the kind of diamond that regular people only saw in movies. I'm not a medical supply salesman, Chiamaka. I'm the man who owns the company, and the shipping company, and about 40 other companies that I'll tell you about later. She was crying now, silent tears streaming down her face. I didn't tell you because I needed to know. I needed to be sure. And now I am. He dropped to one knee. 300 people held their breath. Chiamaka Okonkwo, the nurse from Grady, the woman who gives everything she has to people who can never pay her back, the woman who showed me that kindness doesn't need a spotlight. He looked up at her. Will you marry me? She said yes. Of course she said yes. The ballroom erupted in applause, real applause this time, not the polite kind for a stranger, but the joyful kind for a moment that would be remembered for years. Obiora slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly, because he measured her hand while she slept 6 months earlier, on a night she didn't even remember. They kissed. The cameras flashed, the champagne corks popped, the band started playing something romantic and timeless. And somewhere outside, in a gas station parking lot on the wrong side of Atlanta, Adaora sat in her mother's car and scrolled through Instagram. The photos were already everywhere. Her sister in scrubs, her sister wearing a ring that cost more than a house, her sister being lifted off her feet by a billionaire she had met at a free clinic. A billionaire. The man her sister had been dating, the one she never asked about, never cared about, never even bothered to learn the name of, was one of the richest men in the country. And all this time, Chiamaka thought he was a salesman, because that's who he was to her. Not a net worth, not a ticket to a better life, just a man who showed up every Saturday with boxes. The comments on the photos were brutal. Wait, the sister tried to steal her man's proposal? Imagine getting exposed in front of 300 millionaires. She walked 37 minutes in rented heels. This is the funniest karma I've ever seen. The wig was sliding, y'all. Adaora closed Instagram. She stared out the car window as her mother drove in silence. Neither of them spoke. What was there to say? 3 months later, Chiamaka and Obiora were married. It was a private ceremony. Just close friends and family. No paparazzi, no Instagram influencers, no sisters who couldn't be trusted. Adaora was not invited. Their mother was there, though, sitting in the front row, crying tears that were half joy and half regret. Regret for all the times she had told Chiamaka she wasn't enough, that her job wasn't impressive enough, that her life wasn't glamorous enough. She never said those things again. After the wedding, Chiamaka and Obiora moved into a house in Buckhead, the kind of house their mother had always dreamed Adaora would marry into. But they didn't live lavishly. They drove normal cars, wore normal clothes, ate dinner at home most nights. The only difference was the foundation. Obiora gave Chiamaka a seat on the board of the Atlanta Hope Foundation. She used it to expand the free clinic program, the same program where they had met. By the end of the year, there were 12 clinics across Georgia, all offering free care to people who had nowhere else to go. "Why do you keep doing this?" a reporter asked her once. "You're married to a billionaire. You never have to work again." Chiamaka smiled. "Because kindness doesn't need a spotlight, but sometimes it helps to have one." As for Adaora, she lost her job at the beauty supply store. Her manager saw the viral photos and didn't want the negative attention. She lost her Instagram following. People only followed her for the aspirational content. Nobody wanted to aspirate towards public humiliation. She lost her credit cards. The bills came due. The emerald gown was repossessed. The rented jewelry was returned, along with a late fee that she couldn't afford. By spring, she was living in her mother's basement, scrolling through job listings, watching her sister's happy marriage through the window of social media. She never apologized. Not really, not properly. She tried once at Easter dinner, but the words came out wrong. More excuse than apology.
More, I'm sorry I got caught than I'm sorry I hurt you. Chiamaka listened, nodded, said nothing. Some doors, once closed, do not open again. They say every family has two types of people, those who build others up and those who try to climb on top of them. Adaora spent her whole life climbing, scheming, looking for shortcuts to a life she hadn't earned. And in the end, what did it get her? A gas station parking lot, a sliding wig, and a 47-minute walk of shame down Peachtree Street. Meanwhile, her sister, the one she called boring, plain, a failure, married a man who loved her for exactly who she was. Not for her dress, not for her Instagram, not for her ability to perform wealth she didn't have, just for her heart. If Adaora had asked instead of stolen, if she had celebrated instead of envied, if she had been a sister instead of a competitor, she could have been in that ballroom, standing next to Chiamaka, watching her find happiness, maybe even finding some of her own. But she didn't, and fate rewarded every second of Chiamaka's patience. So, here's what I want you to remember. What belongs to you will find you. It doesn't need to be stolen, borrowed, or faked. It arrives when you're ready. Usually in scrubs. Usually when you least expect it. And what doesn't belong to you, it will burn your hands if you try to hold it. Just ask Adaora. She's still got the credit card bills to prove it. If you want to see who fate visits next, subscribe and hit that notification bell. Because in these stories, the schemers always fall. And the humble, they always rise.